Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. You're staying safe, staying indoors. These are very difficult times for all of us, and we are back to square one. Same situation like last year. So, first of all, I would just like to request all of you to take care of yourselves and your family. Today's session is going to be really interesting one because we have with us Yashraj Jariwala, who is the co-founder of Shaiva Algae Tech. So Shaiva is a microalgae based biotech company in Surat, Gujarat, and it specializes in commercial scale cultivation of microalgal species and also produces premium quality algae based ingredients for use in different industries such as food, nutraceuticals, health and cosmetics. So the company says that its aim is to provide a sustainable food and nutrition globally using one of the most primitive forms of life on earth, which is microalgae. So, it's going to be very exciting. We're going to discuss the microalgae space in India today. I welcome you, Yash. It's great that you have taken out time to discuss the potential of microalgae in India. And I'm actually very curious about the space myself. And I believe that, these kind of alternative nutrition sources, they will emerge as winners in the coming years. So over to you. Let us know what your company is into, how you entered this space, and give us a background of your company, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to speak on this wonderful platform. Just to begin with, we are Shaiva Algitech. The company started 2.5 years back, officially 2 years back, where the thought process went before that. The sole purpose of forming this company was that we wanted to bring out the good of microalgae to this world. I'm a biotechnologist by background, and when I was doing my masters, that is when I conceived this idea of getting microalgae, the good things about microalgae to the world. Uh, Microalgae has been on this earth since millions of years. It has been one of the most important organisms for the evolution of the humankind that we know right now. So what the plan is that we want to bring all the good part of microalgae in terms of food and nutrition to the world. Uh, and Because microalgae also goes into biofuels and everything, but the commercialization has not happened as yet. So we thought we would focus more on the food and nutrition part and bring the good things about that to the world.
Right, right, right. So you are cultivating these species in your plants. So how do you do that? And what species are you cultivating right now?
Yes. The species that we are commercializing right now, which we are at a pre-commercial stage, is the Hematococcus pluvalis. It is a green algae which has the ability to accumulate this wonderful antioxidant called astaxanthin. So our focus is that we want to cultivate this microalgae using indoor as well as outdoor technology, and we want to give it the best medium for it to proliferate, so that the numbers increases, and then we can harness the pigment that is the astaxanthin once it accumulates in its body. Then we want to harvest the microalgae and then dry the microalgae and then sell it so that people can extract the astaxanthin out of it and use it in different segments like the food, nutraceuticals, or cosmetics.
Right, right, right. So you are focusing on Hematococcus only, so right now.
Correct. So we also have two other microalgae in our pipelines. That is the Tenolilla microalgae, which has the potential for giving us natural beta carotene, which we generally get from carrots,
Yeah.
and also omega-3 fatty acids. And the other algae that we are focusing on is the Nanochloropsis microalgae, which can give us vegan source of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids.
Right, right, right. So we are discussing this, algae and microalgae space. So, just for people like us, who there are a lot of people who might not be aware. What is the difference between algae and microalgae? And in fact, just seaweed, for that matter. So what's the difference between all of them?
So algae is predominantly cut into two parts. That is macroalgae and microalgae. Macro is the seaweeds that we see. These are basically uh, like weeds that we can see physically. They grow in water, whether they can be freshwater or marine water. Similarly, microalgae are microscopic species which grow either in marine water or freshwater or brackish water. So the difference is that, of course, they are pretty much in the same uh, evolutionary cycle, but of course they are microscopic and these are macroalgae. So generally, algae, what people say is macroalgae, and microalgae is the one that's it. Yes.
So, you are growing it in your plants, in your manufacturing plants. Like,
Yes.
how does it work basically? What process does it entail?
Uh, so the entire process can be put into four. There are four parts of the process. The first part is when you have to do the optimization and you have to select the strain. The strain. So microalgae strains are available throughout the nature. Like there are different habitats where they thrive. Like for Hematococcus, it is a algae which grows in a slightly colder climate, and they are available in these bird baths. That's what they call bird baths because that's where the birds come to feed. So what we have done is we have isolated the microalgae. Like I would just go through the process, and so then we optimize it for commercializing it because there are a lot of things that need to be done. Like we have to optimize. It grows in the media. We need to give the nutrition. So we need to decide what nutrition that it wants. So that is the optimization part. Then we have to scale up, where we have to write from a 200 ml conical flask. We have to take it to a 2000 liter flask or 2000 liter photobioreactor. So that's where the scaling up happens. After the scaling up, when the microalgae is ready, when it is matured enough, then we have to separate the microalgae and the water. So microalgae requires three basic things: carbon dioxide, sunlight, and water for its growth. These are the three main raw materials for microalgae's growth. So we have to harvest it. When you have to harvest it, we have to separate the microalgae and the water. And then later on, there's some downstream processing. Like we have to crack the cells up so that we get the pigment out of the cells. Like in case of Hematococcus, the cell is very hard. So we have to crack it open. Only then that can the astaxanthin be digestible for humans or animals, because the cell cannot be digested by human beings. So we have to crack it open. We crack it open and then we spray dry it. So there are different drying methods, but we use spray drying method.
Wow, wow. So it's a very detailed process, and I think a lot of R&D is required for this one.
Yes, it's a quite. I mean, it's a fun process, and it's something that I think human beings have been doing since 30, 40 years now.
Yeah, yeah. So, as a company, what kind of applications are you looking at right now? Are you going to, enter into B2C basically sector also, or are you looking at only companies who are into nutraceuticals and food? So what applications are you looking at exactly?
So honestly, we are quite open to the application of microalgae in different industries. I mean, what happens is that right now the tested markets are food and nutraceutical and cosmetics for microalgae. But in food itself, we see that there is because there is this whole onslaught of alternative protein coming in. People are trying to make these meatless meat over this head. So what we are trying to do is we are also trying to stress these kind of pigments which are important in these niche new markets. So these antioxidants can serve as a nice way to as a pigment or a source of vitamin or nutrition in these markets. And also we are looking at markets where where animal nutrition also is important, where these sustainable feed for the marine microorganisms. So that is also one of the other market that we are looking into.
Okay, okay. So you are looking at algal protein market. I think that is what is very relevant nowadays, and that is what I wanted to talk to you about. Since you must have read about GFI's recent report. So in a recent report, they have said that algal protein is going to be a very promising sector, especially in India because of its long coastline and a lot of other factors. So why do you think it will become big in India, and what kind of potential does it have for the Indian market, and also in terms of export? Yes.
So, algae as an industry in India, it's the first problem I would say is that we have not really recognized algae as an industry in India. Though seaweed farming has been practicing since a long time in the south, where there's natural seaweed growing and people are harvesting it and selling it. But algae cultivation itself is a very big market, and once once tapped into it, it can bring wonders to the entire Indian market actually, because as I said, as you said, that there is a long coastline. We have abundance of good quality marine water, as well as fresh water as well. So that is where that is, and we have 10 to 11 months of good sunlight in India. So we are already having two of the major raw materials that is required for microalgae cultivation, and the other one is CO2, which is, of course, there's tremendous amount of that in the air right now. So we have the three main ingredients. It's just that we need that technology, and the technology is where the challenge lies. But of course, behind any successful industry, the academia has to play a very big role in that. The problem is, I think that in the academia level, we are not really focusing on microalgae. Uh, it, we have to convert the academic level to industrial level. So the collaboration is very important, which I think is still lacking, but it will come around in the years to come.
Right, right, right. So are you also looking for some kind of government support? Is the government supporting this sector, or is it like too nascent to talk about it right now?
I think it is too nascent to talk, but as you said, problem is that the government still has not. There's no department under which microalgae comes into right now for in terms of the Indian government. So they think they are doing seaweed comes under. I think it comes under aquaculture or fisheries, but microalgae does not come under the purview of the government right now.
Okay, okay.
So that is where a big challenge lies. I think that recognition is important. Until unless you don't recognize that there is a market for it, then you won't be able to educate people and then take the industry forward. So that recognition is very important.
Yes. So what are you doing on that front? Like, are you and similar companies, are you planning to get together, create an organization or work together with the organizations like, for example, GFI, to push this forward? So what are you doing on that front?
So the problem is that right now, as you said, that is the correct way to do. There are a few microalgae companies in India that are coming up. There are a few startups coming up. It is important that we make a consortium so that we can represent the microalgae industry to the government and get it recognized first. So of course that is the right way to do it, and that is probably my thought process. Been my thought process in this last 6 months, that we have to do it. We have to do something for the industry. So only then we will be able to take it forward. So that is probably a roadmap for the coming years, and we will do it.
So how like it's since it's where it's just started off, the sector is very very new. So how big is it right now in terms of revenue? And what kind of manufacturing capacity do you have right now at Shaiva?
Yeah. So the microalgae the sector in itself, just talking about the nutraceutical market, which is mostly growing, which is where most of the microalgae is growing right now, in terms of astaxanthin or beta carotene or the omega 2 fatty acids. In that terms, you can say that a microalgae industry is somewhere between $4 billion to $5 billion right now. We expect better growth because most of what happens is that most of these synthetic astaxanthin and synthetic beta carotene is going more towards the natural side. Uh, the trend is going more towards the natural side. And in terms of our personal capacity, we have a production site of around 2.5 acres, where we are able to produce 1 to 1.2 tons of dry microalgae biomass monthly. We still are not at that capacity. We are working at 20% level of that. So currently our capacity is around 100 kilos monthly.
Okay. And you are planning to scale it up to, like
Uh,
maybe we talk, say, by the end of 2022, what kind of capacity are you looking at?
Yeah, so there are two segments where we want to focus on. First segment is where we want to scale up the cultivation itself of microalgae. So we want to probably by the end of 2022, that is the plan, that we utilize the 100% capacity and do 1.1 to 1.2 tons of microalgae monthly. And this other segment is where we want to forward integrate into extraction and formulation of these antioxidants, microalgae derived antioxidants, and pigments and ingredients, so that we can go more towards where we can actually sell it to these companies like a Unilever or a Nestle, can directly use these formulations into their products.
Yeah. Yeah. So in India, like the scope is like it's just started, but in countries like Singapore or in the West, their microalgae is already it's already becoming the talk of the town, and people are actually adopting it. Companies are coming forward, and we just read about Sophie Bionutrients. They have launched their first burger patty made out of microalgae. So, are you also planning to export? Because India will be a great provider of this raw material for a lot of companies. Are you looking at that?
Yes. So the long term vision is that we can definitely be a very good exporter of these microalgae ingredients, especially to these growing markets, whether it's the European market or the American market, because that is where actually the microalgae has been accepted as a food now. In India, people have still not accepted because microalgae has a certain smell. When in its natural form, it has a certain fishy smell, which is a little unacceptable to a lot of people because we are predominantly a vegetarian nation population. So I think a lot of studies or research has to be done into making microalgae taste you know, more palatable to the people, because that is where the challenge lies for companies like who are doing alternative protein. So yeah, that is where I think the true potential of microalgae lies when we can actually use it as when it actually becomes a staple food for a lot of people.
So this is a very interesting point that it has a fishy smell to it, which
Yes.
most of the people, I don't think people are aware of this, and this might obviously come as a
Yes.
hindrance for a lot of people who have never eaten fish in their lives, or those who are not so fond of non-vegetarian. So yeah, it can be a major problem for them. Very true.
Yes.
So Yash, my last question would be, about your company. Just let us know what your immediate plans are, and what do you plan to? Where will we see this company 2 years down the line?
Uh, so my plans are pretty scary actually for myself. It's, I mean, every day I always think that what is gonna be, what is my company gonna be in the next 10 years. So to be very frank, I see my company as the biggest microalgae producer in the next coming years. That is what my dream is, and I hopefully will be there someday. Uh, uh, we want to focus not only on human nutrition and animal nutrition. We want to do also. We want to go more also in terms of go towards the energy side, uh, because we see in the coming years there might be attraction in a microalgae deriving my energy from microalgae, especially in terms of biohydrogen. And also we see attraction in the bioplastics market because microalgae have been known to have a good ingredient as an ingredient for bioplastics. So these are other branches of sustainable future that we see using microalgae as a core ingredient. So that is where I see not now, but maybe 20 years, 15, 20 years down the line.
Okay. So, since you're talking about this, I have like just one question came into my mind. It might be a silly question, but I just want to know, like, if we, start basically, if we build this sector and, a lot of companies enter this segment, will it eventually deplete the amount of microalgae and algae promotions? Like, is it in any way related?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat that? What did you just say?
Yeah, I said, like, was I audible? Like,
Yes, I just didn't get one of the words that you said. You
okay,
didn't-
so I'm saying that, since this sector is growing and a lot of companies will eventually get into it, will it in any way deplete the algae resources from the oceans? Like, that is what I'm concerned about. This might be very silly, but I just want to know because this came into my mind.
Correct. So I'll just give you a very interesting part about microalgae. I think a lot of people don't know about this, but see, as I say, like 70% of the earth is covered with water. So we are probably, the land is only 20-25% maybe. So and 70% the ocean, if you say it's water, millions of algae cells. And and algae, we actually don't know, but algae plays such an important role in our balance of the entire earth. So, uh, it is a renewable source. It will keep growing on its own. And what we are reaping the benefits of oil right now is because of the algae that has grown, that has died and decomposed in the earth since so many billions of years. Uh, what our job is now is to make that process faster, and that is where our job lies. And the technology has to be developed where we can multiply and grow microalgae at that pace at what the actual oceans are doing. So that is where the major challenge lies, and if we can do that, I don't see us having any energy problems or any food problems in the coming years.
Right. Awesome, awesome. So thank you so much, Yash. It was a lovely discussion and we gained some wonderful insights. And this is very new to India, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know about this. So I think this will help them understand this segment in a better way. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much. And again, it was great to talk to you on this platform. And I just hope that this platform is able to educate more people about microalgae and bring more light to the microalgae sector in India.
Obviously, we are trying our best. Thank you so much, Yash.
Thank you so much.